In this video, I'm going to be talking about um, a window of time between May 10th and May 14th. May 14th being the 77th anniversary of Israel becoming a nation. In this video, it's all about the 77, the 88, and the 99. Here you see heliofont, and when it's unscrambled, the anagram makes the word the final. The O is the eclipse. Okay? So we're looking at the final eclipse before the Great Tribulation starts. And we're going to get into that right here. Show you a few things. This article came out on May 11th, 2024. Was that a 1 year warning to when things are about to kick off? We saw the Northern Lights really all over the world. And then this magazine here, of course, that we're familiar with, came out on November 5th, which is 5/11 reversed in 2022. So you see the colors here, the purple, the green, the blue, the pink. Those are the colors we've been looking at most recently because they're spring colors. And we were looking at certain dates, but like I've got some more for you. So here's a Revelation 4:3. And he that sat was to look upon like jasper and a sardine stone, and there was a rainbow round about the throne, in sight like unto an emerald. So we have these colors right here. These are pictures that I took outside my house. I can't remember when, but months ago. And I got to see them for myself. You know, I didn't have the mix of colors like everyone else had, but I really did get an opportunity to see what everyone was talking about on social media. And I believe what this really is the glory that's emanating from the throne, God's throne. And that's why the majority of the time it's seen, you know, in the northern hemisphere. And if you're awake enough to know that we don't live on a spinning ball, the center of the flat plane Earth would be the northern hemisphere, where the magnetic north is, you know, that comes from. So here I've got a couple of pictures to look at. So May colors: green and lilac, emerald green, and we see emerald here from the 2015 Economist cover, the girl in emerald green. And then we've got some numbers here also. 5/11, 131st day of the year. And that's what that could mean. But also the other colors here are bright greens, purple, lavender, and lilac, and pink. So those are the colors that we're looking for. So I want to just show you how we relate Donald Trump to the end times. You know, because when we think of the last trump, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Donald Trump's original family name was not Trump, it was Drumpf, and it was changed. Here you go. Donald Trump's family has German roots. His grandfather last name was Drumpf, and then they changed it when they moved to America. So he's the end times player that everyone needs to keep their eye on. And I think when he is removed, that is the time frame we need to be looking at for the catching away. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but the hierarchy in the Church of Satan, the highest and fifth degree is a MAGA. And we see the MAGA movement everywhere. He is their false golden idol. This was a picture I saw years and years ago, probably 8 years ago, promoting Sirius XM with the 115. You know, 5/11 backwards. That's the date I'm looking for something to happen. And these dates, you know, we have to give or take a day based on time zones. So is it going to be the 11th? Is it going to be the 12th? You know, I'm not sure. But that's what they're showing us. Skull and Bones, 322. We know what they're all about, secret societies. And this can be broken down into 5/11 again. So here's some pretty interesting stuff. Here we go. Okay, so The attempt on his life took place on July 13th. If we put in July 13th and we go to Sunday, May 11th, 303 days, there's your 33 connection. And 33, Order Out of Chaos, the Freemasons. Okay? Alternative time units. It's also 9 months and 29 days, which is 9/11. Okay? So that's one. I've got a bunch of these for you guys. Okay. So we know that Trump confused purposely 7/11 with 9/11. And this is pretty interesting from someone that I follow on YouTube. Sorry, as I've said many times, I'm not an expert with this, but here's a dream she had. My dream today, 416, saw her old World War II teacher from high school. He was watching a political show about Trump on TV. He turned and said, I bet they'll take out Trump on 7/11 because of the remark he made about when he meant to say 9/11. Now, you can read through this if you want to. That'll be on the video, so you can pause it if you like. I'm going to get rid of that. But the eclipse that we're looking at, that heliofont is pointing to, is the annular solar eclipse that happened on October 2024, October 2nd. So if you put these numbers in here, October 2nd, 2024, and we go to Monday, May 12th, the result is 223, which is 322, skull and bones, but it's also 7 months and 11 days, including the end date. And there's your 7/11 connection to this guy right here. Some more things. This was at the Christmas tree lighting back in 2018. Trump was behind the podium and there were lasers being shined onto his coat here. And it was very obvious on TV. So from Wednesday, November 28th, which was the actual evening that this took place, to Sunday, May 11th, you got 7777, or 77 months and 14 days. A lot of sevens associated with this guy, and I'm going to show you more of those. Okay? We remember this here. I'm going to share this brother's information here.
You guys know what this represents?
Well,
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
what's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we'll have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
what, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Okay, so I guess we're going to find out. So when I put this into the time and date, here we go. Let's look at this really quick. Donald Trump aligned with the biblical sign of 7. Donald Trump was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old when he became president of the United States. So that's a lot of sevens. Here's his calm before the storm remark. We just looked at that. So when we put the date of October 6, 2017, and we run it till May 13, 2025, you get 7 years, 7 months, 7 days. Or you get 91 months and 7 days, which is the 917 New York area code. So I find that very interesting. Okay, now we're going to move to this. This is from the Illuminati card game that came out in 1995. This is obviously Trump here on the card. And this shows a lot of information if you haven't seen this before. In the background, we see these spores, which represents the CV-19er that we saw a couple of years ago, that he came out with Operation Warp Speed to combat, which was a bioweapon, I believe, that many people took, unfortunately. This is also showing, see this streak going across the right side of his face to the left side of his face? That's the July 13th false event that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. And this also represents him, the false golden idol. All these people are under a trance. They are worshiping this golden idol and not even knowing it. This is the movement I just talked about, which is in the hierarchy of Satan, MAGA movement. I showed this in one of my other videos, and this is just spring time frame is what they're showing. And for the event to take place on DT right here. So we're in that watch window. So a few new things. Okay, here's the evolution chart that's on top of the chalkboard in IPG. And if we go from like a clock, starts at 12 or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 5th month, that's when the event's going to take place. I believe this is multi-layered, of course. This looks like Trump's wall, believe it or not. But if you use this as a 1 and this as a 1, there's your 11. Okay, and down here, this also represents Trump. And in the background on the wall, we see this funeral flower. It's called a calla lily. And then you see 1, 1, and then 5. Okay, and then this is the weapon with the pool of blood. And then in the video, if you play it from start to finish, at the 52-second mark, this is the exact moment when the head wound occurs, which I believe represents 5/11. Next one, Donnie Darko. So we know Trump in gematria is 88. Donnie Darko is 88, and we're all familiar with these numbers here. But what I did is I put them together and added them backwards. So 212 here is 5, and then 4, 6, zeros don't count, 8 and 2 comes out to 20, or it could be broken down into 11. So that's another 5/11, which happens to be Mother's Day this year. That is the day before the actual full moon. So I think this is our window right before we get to this. That's when the rapture is most likely to occur. Okay, so then we're going to go into this other card here, Friday the 13th. Now, Friday going into Saturday. Saturday is the 130th day of the year. So that's the 13 that I think this could be pointing to. And if it's not, without the Friday part, the 13th would be the day that war starts. As I'm looking at the 12th to 13th, because of the blooming flower and IPEC goat, I think the 12th into the 13th is when that's going to take place. Okay, so we're looking at some more stuff here. The full moon in May. What does the flower mean? Here's IPEC goat. When the flower blooms, there's 25 petals. There's also a 12 in Lily's dress, which I believe she represents the bride of Christ. And we're going to look at some good stuff here. Here we go. Okay. On the 11th in Jerusalem, 7:26 p.m. is when sunset happens, and that's when we go into the 12th. So, oops. Here we go. We know that Harpazo is 7:26 in Strong's. And then here's something interesting too. So on the lunar calendar, which is a month behind us, Palm Sunday was on the 13th of April. So if we go to April and then go to the 13th, you use the yellow. So that brings us to May 10th and 11th, which is Palm Sunday on the lunar calendar. Okay. And Palm Sunday is the 75th day of the year on the Gregorian calendar, so that would translate to this being the 78th day of the year on the lunar calendar. I'm sorry, 75th day of the year on the lunar calendar. And we see 75s in IPEC goat also, particularly in the New York destruction scene. Okay? And that would make Monday here, the 14th, that would be the 104 day. And we know what it says in Back to the Future about 10:4, over and out. Okay? In the Bible it says, "And this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man can number, of all nations, all kindreds, all and people and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes and palms in their hands." And what do we see in the Simpsons Rapture? Thank God it's Doomsday episode. When he gets to heaven, we see palm trees. Here's some other stuff that I just plugged in just to see what would happen. So, trumpet blast on Mother's Day reduces to 88. Rapture on Mother's Day, 101. We see the 101 on IPEC goat, and he's laughing. And this is when DT, represented by Bush, transforms into Obama, who I believe is the AC. Look at his purple tassel right here. That is the color for May. Trumpet on Mother's Day, 99. Okay. Also, IPEC Goat. Rapture, full moon. So this is a way that I've been looking at this. This is the full time of the video. If you do the math and subtract this from this, you get 205, and 205 can break down into 511 or 12 based on time zone. That's the Rapture scene. Also, Katy Perry. Here it is again. 413. That looks like a Rapture portal. Sorry. Back to the Future, 413. So it's pretty amazing that all these things relate to one another. Here we go. Here's some more information for you. So, the May tassel, represented by purple. Obama graduates to the Antichrist world leader. That will happen once DT is gone. Okay? The DT event here, XXV, 115, 511. And this house right here represents New York City on fire. And really, it'll be the whole East Coast if they tsunami everybody. But N, lowercase, Y, 13. Okay. And now we're going to look at this. Okay. So this is going to be pretty interesting. And I'm going to show you, you know what, maybe I'll do this. I'll do this later. Okay. So the apple scene, when it rolls across the floor, it blooms, right? And I believe, you know, I was trying to decode the entire scene. So part of the scene, I figured, what happens 88 days before this happens? And I put that into here, Monday, May 12th, 2025, minus 88 days brings us to Thursday, February 13th. What happened Thursday, February 13th? A humpback whale is filmed briefly swallowing a man on a kayak off Chilean Patagonia before releasing him unharmed. We see that in The Simpsons. This scene seems so out of place in that episode, but now I think it makes sense. In IPEC Goat, we see war and the sign of Jonah. 5 tanks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks. Month of May. Okay, and here again, I use the time frame. 727 minus 336 is 391. 3 plus 9 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. May 13th. War in the ribs of the whale. The sign of Jonah. Here, we're going to look at this really quick.
Chile. This is a kayaker meeting a whale, and not in the way you want to meet a whale. A kayaker chomped, in fact, right there in the water by the whale. In fact, he says he thought he was dead after that humpback whale nearly swallowed him. The young man's dad capturing it all on his phone. Here's the moment.
Boom.
There's the chomp. Well, his dad was saying, stay calm in the moment, like a dad does. Seconds later, that humpback whale, well, the humpback whale stayed calm enough to open its jaws and let the kayaker go. Thank goodness he's okay. He made it back to shore unharmed.
Okay, so we saw that right there. So now we're going to go into this. Okay, so this is where I break down this entire scene. Okay, so when Lily drops the apple, in fact, we'll just take a quick look at it really quick because it's important. So let's say, okay. Okay. So the room gets dark. This is the eclipse from October 2nd, 2024. You see the 12 on the dress. But anyway, so she drops the apple and it rolls 7 times. When it hits Obama's shoe, it stops. So it rolled 7 times and hits his shoe with the 7. I believe that is showing Israel's 77th birthday. Then the apple splits. And we see 2 seeds and 1 seed, or 12. The 12th is the May flower moon, which has 25 petals, so 2025. And then you have this LC on the floor, which I think not only does it point to the lunar calendar, which I had mentioned earlier, but it also points to, sorry, let me just get this out of the way in case I need it later. I'm going to put it back down here. And here's what I've come up with. So it rolls 7 times, hits Obama's foot on the shoe, Israel's 77th birthday. But LC is also 7C, and I believe that's going to be a 7-year covenant on 5/12. We'll see. Will they say this? We'll see. 2 seeds, 1 seed. Okay? And this is an exact match from the Revelation 12 sign. So that Revelation 12 sign happened September 23rd, 2017, going to May 13th, 2025, which I think is when the birth of the New World Order and World War III start. It's 2790 days, or 7 years, 7 months, and 21 days. So you got your 7 years, 7 months, 21 days. Exactly. And then here we go. Daniel 9:27. He'll confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, 7 days, or 7 years. In the middle of that 7 years, he'll put an end to the sacrifice and offering, and he'll set up the temple, an abomination that causes desolation until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. So that's what I think that scene is showing you. Okay, in this scene, in the snow, we have an M for May, 1/1 for 11th. Second 9/11 event, we're going to see. But also, I defer back to the Illuminati card games because they show us a lot of stuff. And I'm going to show you some stuff right here. So, back on January SIX, we know that an event happened at the Capitol building related to Trump. And that was all staged and make-believe. Since this card came out in 1995, they had the date right on the card, January 6th. So these cards are important. But here's another one. May Day. Place an action token on any one communist group or on 2 or more communist groups whose current power adds up to 5 or less. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here again we have 5, 2, and a 1. So is that 513? 512? Either or, it looks like a date to me, and that looks like Russia getting ready to attack the U.S. Okay, and then we've got some other stuff here. So what I wanted to show you in Stellarium, well, we'll do this first. Where is it? I know it's here somewhere. Okay, it's here. Let's see. Okay, so there's this comet here. What is Comet Swan? Okay, and there's some information about it. And then it says that it's going to be in our sky. And now there are signs that I don't know where it is. It's on here somewhere. I think it's here. Here we go. I know. You guys can read this over. It says it happens in late April and May, but I'm going to show it to you on Stellarium anyway. So let's look at that here. Okay, so if we go to this, March, let's go back a little bit. Okay, you see Comet Swan right here? So we're going to go 29, 30, 30, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Look at Comet Swan. 12, 13. So it cuts through this constellation here. And what I believe this represents is the Statue of Liberty. This is the Orion constellation. The rabbit on the wall, an iPet goat, is Lepus. That's here right below in the constellation of Orion. And to the left, we have Sirius, which is the dog star. Okay? We also have Jupiter, which I pointed out in one of my last videos, is represented by the red apple that we see in the Economist magazine. And then this guy is the hunter, So the arrow is represented by him. And then we have, let me see, let me go a little further. 16, no, we're just going to go to the 13th. But what I wanted to show you was the comet coming across here. You know, and I don't know why it disappears there, but anyway, that's what I wanted to show you, because in iPet Goat, when we get to the New York scene here, watch this light right here. The light travels across like maybe it's a comet. And also, I believe this is the light being taken out of the world, the rapture, as the tsunami approaches New York City right here. And then here you have your, here you have the rabbit, Lepus, the dog's head like Pluto, that's Sirius, and then Orion. And that's when the destruction takes place. So I just showed you that's on the 12th into the 13th. So I believe that's when Russia attacks the US. And I'm going to move this out of the way for a bit, and then we're going to look at a few more things. So I did show you this, I believe. Yes, we saw that. Okay, now we're going to get into this stuff here. Right here. Some more iPet Goat stuff. Okay, in iPet Goat, we see Goddess Kali, the goddess of destruction. She's in a cage, like a canary cage. So I think that represents the Canary Islands in one layer, and in another layer I think it represents California, because you see her stomping and you see a big 9 on the ground, and I believe that's going to be an earthquake in California, at least a magnitude 9. This happened in New York City. They showed the Goddess of Destruction on the Empire State Building. That was back in 2015. And then also in this scene here, that is a head wound. This is also a submarine coming up and retaliating against the city. But in the background, I think that's California on fire. Okay. A few more things here. Okay. We've got the scene where this character changes masks. This here, this 4 looking thing, is actually the Olympics logo from the past Olympics that was just in Paris. But this figure changes masks, dances around this fire, and you can see in this scene here, there's one of the heads, the Easter Island heads. That's where the final eclipse passed over Easter Island. Okay? So in here, as he's doing his dance, he's changing his masks, and you see the shark fins come up. I believe that's the tsunamis that will hit America and other parts of the world, and they'll blame it on La Palma. When the bird finally gets to this form, he jumps up and you see a 2 and a 5. See the 5? 2 and a 5 in the wings. And I believe that's for 2025. Okay? I think it represents the Phoenix Rising and the Plague Doctor mask. Okay? So that's something else I wanted to show you there. The Simpsons. The Simpsons are known for showing us a lot of stuff. Here's a scene from The Simpsons.
This is it, boy. With this bird gone, the plant will be mine for the taking.
Now fly to the Canary
See the nuclear
Islands.
power plant in the background? And here they point out the Canary Islands, which is pretty crazy. What else do I have for you guys? I've got this here for you too. Remember, the colors in May are purple, lavender, lilac, and emerald. See the emerald? This also represents nuclear. And it's showing us the 12th going into the 13th. Here again, Simpsons, they're looking at the watch. 5:13. Okay? Also here, Homer's trying to figure out when the rapture date is. It's right here, 5:13 or 5:12, depending on time zone. Okay? And then this is them departing. And then I've got that here. Where did I write that down? I've got notes in front of me. Give me a second, guys. Okay. And 5:13 Enochian is the 23rd. It's right there. And what else do I have for you? Oh, I want to show you this. This is important. This is a good one. I don't know if anybody's really pointed this out, but we're going to stay on iPet Goat, and we're going to get to the end, this scene right here. Okay, now watch the crown. The crown disappears, which I believe signifies the rapture. And as soon as that happens, the church crumbles. Pretty crazy. So guys, I think I've covered as much as I can on this. You know, I'm not good at doing these things. You know, this is definitely not, you know, something I'm comfortable with. I'm way out of my comfort zone. But this is information I wanted to share. Maybe some of you guys who are better at doing videos want to take things from my video and incorporate it into yours to make it more clear and you know, clean it up a little bit. That would be fine. You know, here, this is a massive tsunami. I've showed this in my other videos. Here's the Freedom Tower in New York City, and these are some other buildings. And here you have a upside down 911, CL 73, like I showed you in the Apple scene, 73, 7-year covenant. We'll see what happens. But guys, that's my video. That's all I have for you. I hope I did a good job. I think I showed you everything I wanted to show you. But, you know, are we out of time? We're going to find out shortly. Thanks for watching, guys. God bless.